I find is a lot of people, they don't pay attention to their books and they think it's all just going to work out magically, but often it doesn't, and your books basically, even though, you don't do them for the tedious work of bookkeeping, you do it so that you get all the valuable information that you can make good decisions going
Right.
forward off of for your business. But what I found since getting the consulting thing is that, like in my business, we had 4 partners and I was a partner that kind of was a business minded partner. Other partners were kind of creatives or producers or whatever. So yeah, I was like the business side, the money side, branding. I also was sales, kind of client management. But if you don't have that partner at your business, it's very likely that the finance and business side of your business is going to go unattended. And for some companies that are like, coupled to 10 employees, they don't have enough money to have a full-time CEO.
Hmm.
So it's turned out that there's kind of a good niche for a part-time or fractional CFO that ultimately you pay more for per hour, but it doesn't cost you the full annual salary, and you
Sure.
get some high level intelligence and direction on the business of your business. So I didn't, like I said, I was just doing my own business back in the day, and that's all I was focused on. So I didn't really know that this niche was here, or this need was here, but it turned out that it's been good for me, and I
That's
get
so
to
good.
help people and fill a much needed void.
For sure. Well, you said something there, and I want to bring it back up because this is really, really important to me. Is that you may not necessarily have to be the best at it, right? So in our partnership, like I'm not the numbers guy, I'm not the money guy.
Hmm.
As far as like the entirety of it, my brother is an engineer. We've got another guy on our team, his name's Shane. Like both of those people are just naturally inclined to numbers, right? Like
Yep.
mine is production, mine is people, mine is like tasks and how we're managing. And so we fit really well. That said, for me to be able to do my job really well, I also need to understand or have a functional knowledge of the why. So like we underwrite a deal, they can see it from a number side, from a projection side, from like this is year 5, year 7, here's what we're doing it. But for me, I need to understand those numbers. Like what does that actually mean for turns? What does it actually mean for changing things out? So I would argue, and I think it's absolutely true for finance, but I think it's true for a lot of parts of business is having a functional knowledge of the why. It could be operations, it could be all the way down to social media, right? Like you can outsource yourself into the poorhouse pretty quick.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like, oh, I
Hmm.
don't want to do social media. I'll just outsource it. It's like, cool. Having an understanding. Like I was with a bunch of people this weekend learning and going through some stuff in marketing. And the number one thing we heard over and over again, which I would agree with, is like, do it yourself first.
Hmm.
Understand the why first. And then absolutely, like if you have that, you also build a language that allows you to understand the next level, right? If you just haven't done any of the work, like reading a book about skiing isn't going to do much if you haven't like don't put on some skis and understand like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do, right? So to
Yeah,
me, it's really
100%. I
interesting.
think you got to get your feet wet to some degree in every aspect of your business. And it might not have been because you're intending to do that long term, but without getting your feet wet and having a good idea of what's happening and what's needed and what's worth spending money on and what's not worth spending money on, you're just not going to make good informed decisions. So when it comes to finance, I take a lot of like the legwork out for my clients, but I also say to them, you need to like put some time to this, spend time with me, be educated, understand what we're learning here from your numbers and how it should reshape the way you go about your daily business, or what kind of work you should potentially focus on getting, what potential clients maybe really aren't paying off that well for you, and
Sure.
it's not worth the time. So yeah, 100% agree. Like the more you can do, and like with small business, especially if you start really small, it's kind of easy to do a little bit of everything, but it's time consuming and it makes you work a lot essentially. But ultimately, if most businesses fail, so if you're not willing to work a lot in your business, it's not going to work out that well anyway.
But that's it, man. I mean, there's a lot there that you just said, and unpack it a little bit. Like if you're not willing to work on the business, obviously the whole mentality is like work on the business, not in the business. But in that beginning transition is understanding the why. And again, outsourcing, yes, there are smart people, the ability to get a VA, the ability for like data entry, a lot of that stuff. But what you're really pushing here, really espousing is like that knowledge piece, right? Like an
Mhm.
understanding of the why.